Ciao, today I'll be cooking pasta alla campagnola. This is a dish which Julie has asked for this morning. I was going to be cooking chicken, but then she reminded me that since I started the channel, I've actually cooked this dish, and it was one of the very first few dishes I cooked when I arrived to this country. So pasta alla campagnola it is, chicken will be tomorrow. Campagnola is a word which comes from campagna. Campagna means countryside. So this pasta uses the word campagnola because the ingredients are very hearty and so they're very rustic, and the quantities are also very subjective. So this is my approach to the campagnola. But also some of the ingredients are very much optional. This is a fairly simple, basic recipe I will be cooking today, but by all means you can adjust it to your liking. So I've just sliced an aubergine in little strips, and they are approximately 1 centimeter each, and I will chop it in half as well. Yeah. I'll pour a little olive oil in a pan, not a lot for this one, and while they're cold I'll put the aubergines inside it, and I will give them a good mix with my hands as well. And I'm going to add a little salt as well, so that they sweat a little. And I'll put them on the hob so they can start cooking, and I'll get on with the rest of the ingredients. I'll start on a high temperature and to get them going, and as soon as they start sizzling, I place the lid on, and then I'll turn it down on medium number 4 out of 9 in my case, and I will leave them. I will let them to sweat. That's why I didn't put a lot of olive oil, because it's a little bit healthier, and they will cook in their own steam, and will take approximately 10 minutes. They'll be lovely and soft when they're done. In the meantime, I'll get on with the other ingredients. This is a red onion, medium-sized onion. I'm taking the peel off. And as this is campagnola and it is a rustic pasta, I will be chopping my onion in fairly large chunks. New saucepan, olive oil, whole clove of garlic with the skin, gentle crush, and I'll put it in the pan cold, when everything is still cold. That is because if you're actually cooking the garlic from cold, it releases a lot more flavor. So that is a very, very good tip I can give you today. So back on the hob, once it starts sizzling yet again, I'll turn it down on number 4 as well, medium heat, and make sure that everything is browning nicely. In the meantime, excuse me, also take a look at the aubergines and give it a quick mix to ensure that they cook throughout. They're doing nicely. So lid back on, and we'll get some other ingredients ready. Normally I would use spinach, but Julie's just picked some kale from the garden, so today I'll be using kale, but you can also use spinach if you like. So this is really, really fresh from our garden. I'll just remove the very, very bottom of the hard part, but I'll leave that because it's quite tender, and I'll do that on all of my 3 leaves. So clearly if you're using spinach you don't need to do this.
In actual fact I have got some spinach as well.
No, but I think kale is enough. And I'll give this a very rough chop. Again, everything is nice and rough in this recipe. Mushrooms next. Mushrooms are a key ingredient in any campagnola. Actually, if you go to a pizzeria in Italy and you look at the menu and you order a campagnola pizza, you will see that some of the ingredients, if not most of the ingredients I'm using tonight, are in the pizza. It's similar, but pizza rather than pasta. Ironically, you cannot actually find very often campagnola pasta in restaurants in Italy. I'm not sure why, because it's delicious.
It's one of my favourites. We haven't had it for a while.
Yes, I did say at the beginning that it's one of the recipes I did when I first moved to this country.
Oh my God, we thought you were wonderful that you could cook.
So I just done enough for 2 people, so you'll have to judge it if you were to cook it, of course, depending on how many people are eating. And I'll add these to the onions now as well. They've been sizzling for a few minutes, so they can go in. Turn the temperature up a little because it's a bit low. I'll go to number 6 now to ensure that the mushrooms release the water. Another key ingredient of the campagnola is the mince you're going to be using. Today I'll be using pork mince, and this is just straight from the package, has not been treated. So I will be adding a little salt first. And
from my garden.
From Julie's garden. This is the leaf from fennel plant. If I didn't have these, I would actually have used the fennel seeds, and I think that's enough, most probably.
I actually think it's quite mild.
Yes, it is.
Just I've been eating it just as it is, and it's quite mild, so you might need a reasonable amount, I think.
Yes, but this is only 250 grams of mint, so I think it's plenty here. In Italy, they also use sausages, and the sausages in Italy, they are mixed with fennel seeds. So I'm trying to replicate to an extent what they do in Italy. However, sausages are used on pizza. Generally, the campagnola pasta, they use the pork mince. So getting very close to it. I will add a little pepper as well. And in goes the fennel. And I'll give it a very quick mix with my hands so that everything is combined. Okay, so the mushrooms and all of the vegetables are marinating. Sizzling, not marinating, nicely.
It smells so
already,
good,
yes.
I cannot explain.
And wait until the mushrooms have shrunk a little. You can see that they are still not totally cooked, but some of the water has been... They're nice and squeaky. And that's when I add my mince. And the mince will release some fat, because clearly pork mince especially is even fattier, and that will help cooking everything together at the same time. And give it a good mix until the mince is gone all brown. I'm not going to be putting any wine today, which is a bit unusual for me, but I'm strictly following a recipe where normally wine is not added to campagnola. Well, not where I come from anyway. So back to my aubergines, and they are pretty much done. They are done because they are translucent. There is the odd one which is still a little bit white, but I'm happy that they can be added now to my mince and to the rest of the ingredients. And I'll give this a good mix together. I'll put the lid back on, and I will leave everything to now blend and fuse together for 5 minutes before I put the tomato sauce in. And after a couple of minutes you can see that there is still a little bit of water, so it's going nicely, but I'll leave it a few more minutes before I add my tomato sauce. I was telling Julie about this recipe because I remember when I used to travel to London for work, and I stayed in a B&B, and I was the landlady, or there were two girls, they were Lithuanians, and we got talking about me being Italian, and they showed me this chunk of Parmesan cheese that they have purchased when they went to Italy for a holiday. And they asked me, what can we do with that? So I said to them, oh, we can make aubergine pasta sauce, which is what actually we call it here. And so I went and got all of the ingredients, and I cooked for them. And it was lovely. They helped, they learned. And at the end of the meal, they said to me that was the best meal of their life. And the review that you give on the internet, and when they left a lovely review about my cooking skills, is something which was very, very nice. Perfect, it's ready, and I will add 500 milliliters of tomato passata. And I've just added some water to the carton just to rinse it so that I don't waste any. And as soon as the sauce starts boiling, as you can see it's boiling now, I'm going to add a sprig of rosemary. I have to say this is my personal addition, so it is not normal, but I love it, and I think it will release a fantastic flavour. Lid goes on, turn it down, simmer, number 3 this time, and I will leave it for a good 35 to 40 minutes so that it cooks and it will be ready then. See you in about 40 minutes. And we are ready, nearly there, so let's have a look. First thing I'll do, by the way, is to go and find the rosemary and remove it. I just wanted the flavour, not the rosemary in it, so that comes out.
Actually, yes.
And have a look at the sauce. It's nice and thick and very, very rich in colour as well. And this can go off now, and I'll crack on with the pasta. And today I'm cooking fresh egg tagliatelle. This is fresh pasta, and it takes considerably less time to cook, so I'll put it in. It's 3 minutes, that's all it takes from beginning to end. I've got a pot full of boiling water going. I've already put some salt, and I'll just add them to the water. You do not have to use fresh pasta, you do not have to use tagliatelle, you can use any pasta you like, entirely up to you, but we fancy some fresh pasta today. So I've just drained the tagliatelle, and if you look, I've left tiny little amount of water, literally about 20 milliliters at the bottom. I've got some mozzarella here, which I'm adding. Again, this is very subjective and optional. I like it in this pasta, but you do not have to add it. And I will be adding most probably a good 2/3 of a mozzarella ball. Followed by some double cream. Again, quantity is entirely up to you, but I will be putting the equivalent of approximately 25 to 30 ml. And I'll give it a good mix with my spoon so that the mozzarella start melting. Followed by some of the sauce. And mix it again. I always think, as well as looking wonderful, it sounds wonderful. Pasta done like this has got its own noise. There it is.
This takes me back. This was a real staple when the children were young. And
Yes. So the cream has made the sauce a little bit paler. So I always reserve some of the sauce, and then I will add at the very, very top, so that it gives a little bit of contrast as well. And again, very optional, I add a little mozzarella at the top as well. Lucky because Juliet's not munching on it,
yeah, sorry about
so there's some left. And of course some Parmesan cheese at the very, very top to finish the dish. Oh, I know that is lovely because we used to do this a lot, but it is lovely and creamy, something which we haven't had in a while, so we'll make it again soon.
Yeah.
And that combination of rustic ingredients is really, really good because it's all balanced. And if you cannot get hold of the fresh fennel, use the seeds. I think I did say that, but it's definitely a great addition to the dish. Ok, arrivederci e grazie. Thank you for watching. Bye.